somewhere comfortable, and let me welcome our special guests, members of Sarah Monroe.
Excellent. Well, guitar's a big topic and flamenco's a big topic, and we don't have a lot of time today. Today I just wanted to talk about, some of the right-hand techniques that are used in flamenco, because you don't really see them in other types of music. So if you haven't been exposed to them, or you're, wanting to know a little more about them, I was going to go through it pretty quick. Okay, cool. The techniques have evolved. They started out, as a rhythmic accompaniment to like the singing and the dance and things like that. But they've evolved into being used in pop music and different things. As music happens, it kind of evolves. To play these techniques, you really need a nylon string guitar. So if you don't have a nylon string guitar, you can still kind of do it, but it doesn't. These techniques don't really translate well to the steel string, unfortunately. Also, to get the tones properly, you do need nails. You don't need a lot of nail, but you do need at least enough where it's not just your flesh hitting the strings in order to get the more snappy kind of qualities of the sound. The other thing is also high tension strings I know that, when you typically start playing guitar, that you like to use, lighter tension strings. But again, due to the snappiness of the techniques and the string tension, the higher tension strings do tend to work a little better when you're trying to do these things. The typical thing in flamenco, I'm sure it's the same with classical, is that on the left hand it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the right hand, it's P, I, M, A, E. You're all pretty familiar with that? The P is the thumb, I is the index, M is the middle, A is the ring, and E is the pinky. So, Spanish, it's very similar to classical. We have picado. That's sounds like classical, but they tend to try to put they have a more different kind of sensibility and snappiness to how they use picado, and they typically do faster runs. They have arpeggios, and I'm going to go through each of these once more very slow, but I just want to go through them really quickly just to give you an overview. So you have picado, arpeggio, thumb. It's all pretty similar to classical. And then you start to get into the ones that are really more typical of flamenco, like occipal, which is a backpick technique that they use quite a bit. There's the rasgueados or rajeos, and there's a lot of different ones of those. They involve different hand techniques. Golpes, which is hitting the face of the guitar. That's a golpe. We'll go over that. Also the abanico, and just different types of hitting the guitar and getting a more rhythmic sound. There's also a tremolo, and also playing without the left hand. So let's go. Let me just play a little bit.
Let's do a little kaleidoscope. The piece that we're going to be playing together, and give you a sense of how we sort of do it.
Okay.
I had shown you guys the palmas patterns for the tango. So maybe at this point you guys could just hold down some rhythm for us. Maybe set the guitar down or hold it in your lap. But we're going to do just this kind of pattern. You just start your foot on the one and give it 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, very nice.
that, yeah.
Okay, good.
Cool.
So, very nice job getting all the way through with the rhythm. What we want to do in flamenco is create as much dynamics as we can. We have very few elements, right, or just our hands. So we have two tones, the sordas and the altas. And in quiet sections, when it's subdued, or when you're really trying to hear what's going on, you would do the quiet ones, sordas. When it's more intense and we're playing like the chorus of the piece or the melody that's repeated, then it would be more appropriate to do the altas. Breaks are good whenever we can put those in. And so there are a few lines that the guitar has, and it'd be better if the palmas stopped for those just to let the guitar shine, and then we come back in. So stopping and starting is, really good whenever we can do that. I'll try to indicate to you guys where that's going to happen, but it'll be obvious. It's when the runs happen. Some of you, I'm not sure of the way that we're going to finally arrange this. Do you want to have everybody playing guitars, or are there some people available to do rhythm? Just rhythm.
Well, we don't have a lot of folks, so the more playing the guitar, the better.
Okay.
And I
See
was
that.
thinking like during a solo section, and then we don't need everyone doing the chords. We have a couple of people holding down the chords, and
Gotcha.
then the rest do palmas. How about that?
That sounds great.
Or is it more typical to have it start at the beginning and end at the end with the palmas? Is it weird to like come in?
To have some come in.
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, it
No.
could be anything, really.
No.
It's up to us as to, our own musical taste as to what we like. So, I think that's fine.
I think
If everybody wants to play at the top, certainly we can all sort of have a shared rhythmic responsibility. Dry scratching, this is called palo seco, right? So, it's part of the drumming of flamenco. It's just done on the guitar. But the guitarist is a percussionist in flamenco, and they do the tapping and all of that. So, everybody could be playing the guitar, just doing a rhythmic part, And,
Yeah.
and we can change those rules.
The tapping, you see me doing a lot of tapping and a lot of, triplets and things. That stuff is like you can see it's embellishment. It's not required. I
Yeah.
mean, the piece is just, those hits are just fun, or you can strum them. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to worry about like tapping the guitar face, but I wanted to at least show you, what I do to just make it inherently like a little more flamenco, a little more Spanish, as opposed to, what you would hear like a rock person do.
Are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, a couple. One, so those parts, you're kind of improvising it. It's sort of like how somebody would comp in jazz.
Yep.
You're playing what sounds right in the moment. It's not a very structured, specific part like some
The
classical
The
pieces.
breaks are specified. When we stop,
Yeah.
we're gonna stop, and but what we do up into that stop.
It's
But
more
see, like,
from a jazz
it's more from a,
perspective.
but see, like when we're all playing together, we'll just keep it cleaner, and it's
Yeah.
not a big deal. It'll sound good. But when we're playing the piece out, you'll see me add all these extra things in because I just naturally do that without
Sure.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's part of the fun of it for us too, to keep it fresh and
Oh, yeah.
to surprise each other. We're constantly doing.
Yeah,
musical
maybe I'll try to like
shows.
squeeze in like a little extra hail or something just to like make it fun, or a little
Yeah.
sweep or something,
And that's part of the being in the moment aspect of it, is that we can't let it get stale where it's
At least for us,
It
but
needs to-
when we
it needs to
perform,
be alive.
we'll read down the music. It's fine.
Yeah. So let's just listen to you play the most basic way that you could play it against the rhythm slowly.
Oh, okay.
Can we do that?
Sure.
You don't have to clap. You can just listen to the way he's doing it. for the
Or
breaks.
here you go.
It's anticipated.
It's written.
Three, four. All anticipated. On the beat. Off the beat. Off.
strum the chord, or you could do a grab, if you know, if your thing is, you know, to be more like that. But it's nice to be able, if you can, you know, but it doesn't sound clean with all these guitarists. So what we should all do is try to, you know, keep it straight to the music as possible, which all those chords are written, and they're written out quite well, and we all just follow it down. It should be very clean, and it'll sound really nice.
Regarding regarding cleanness, are you gonna teach us that the way you're anticipating and?
Yeah, it's written.
Yeah, those
are all those
anticipations
anticipations are written. Yeah, it's all written.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And they all amount to either the beat being one beat after or one beat before the normal downbeat. That's the trick to the pony, is that it's or
Yeah. What we're talking about is, you know, this first line right here
Okay.
on your music, and it's basically the first probably 8 bars or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we're playing right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, you can see the first one's on the on, and then the second one's on the off. Yeah.
Got it. I have a question. So I was just, you know, I just did this by ear, and I thought I was hearing a B flat 6, but I know.
Yeah, it is. It's or you can put that note in there. My hand, I think Dusty's playing that note, but see, my hand doesn't play that note really well because I have really short pinky. So like if I can drop a note on my left hand, I will. And
I'm
so
hearing from you that if the friends find that chord, you know, awkward, they can just do a B flat.
absolutely, you can do a B flat, or you know, it can be a more color chord, but it's some form of B flat.
And then I think I'm hearing in there this cool, or.
Oh yeah, that's you have that one. You did it as a diminished chord, which I think it is. I think that's still a diminished
Oh,
chord.
just the second chord of the C stone. Somebody's put a little hammer on, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's a kind of a ghost note, a little chick. Like I'd go, maybe like a, something I'd do like a squelch with my right hand, and maybe a tap where I do a grab and then thing. But if I'm doing it really clean, it's still just fine to just hit that offbeat. Because it's just a natural embellishment for me to get the timing right to do the anticipated beat as a squelch. But it's not necessary. It could be. Dusty could be doing one. Yeah. Dusty could be doing one.
Yeah, it's a little easier to pull off with a B7.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. But yeah. I mean that all works. Yeah.
Okay. Do you wanna, well, take it away, but do you want us to like jam on a section of it?
Yeah, I would love to do the first line to try to
The
do
opening is really the
line.
most critical thing because it's very accurate, and that's really.
After
we're
that,
letting
it
all
gets a
hang
little
out right at the
straightforward.
front,
Yeah.
If we know that, the rest will go great.
How are we gonna start? Is John gonna play like 4 bars of rhythm?
I think so. I think we should just groove on a little bit.
Because
of
on the
rhythm
album, I
and
know we just,
allow us to showcase kind of what you guys have learned. Some palmas,
Well,
a little stomp and a clap, even a scratch. Just a rhythm, would be nice. There's so much about that.
you can write that in like maybe 16 bars of it.
Yeah.
Because it has to be a set amount, so it's the same every time. That's kind of whether it's got to be repeated. It's got to be repeated. Okay. So if we give you 4 up front, right now.
Sure.
All right. So here's the start.
1, 2, 3, 4,
2, 3.
Get ready.
Here we go.
Here we go. Bam.
Yeah. That's on the end of 4.
1, 2, 3.
So Frank, are you hitting the D minor are you hitting it
Anticipating
slightly
it.
after one?
On which one?
On the front line, so I'm looking at it, everything I've got written is like the D minor, D7, minor 7th are all on the 1.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna turn this over to John, and he's gonna tell us.
I think that, yeah, I mean, it needs to be on the end of one.
It sounds like the first one is on it,
first
but
one's on.
everywhere else it's anticipated.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
I
so.
think the D6 is anticipated, but I think the D minor is and a 1.
Oh, that was early.
That's 1.
No,
He wasn't playing that one.
no. After the first one, I'm anticipating the B flat, or at least I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
So everyone, bar 3 and 5, need to change so it's on the and.
And, okay, so the D minor is.
Bar 3 and 5, yeah.
Oh, I see.
And-
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that one's on the and. That one's on the and. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
They alternate.
who arranged this, that, Joey?
So what number?
Yeah, 3 and 5 is the D minors are on the offbeats.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the truth be told is that, you know, when we compose something and then as we play it, it
Yeah.
sort of evolves a little bit. And, you know,
We go through different lead
really
guitarists.
certainly
It's,
started
it's
the way
amazing.
that you had written it. And then as we play it, we get bored with it. And so then we go, hey, how about this? We're going to change these one. And the arrangement gets more complex.
Yeah,
as we
yeah.
go.
It was actually kind of weird to listen to the album again because it's like a kind of a big circle, you know, back because we treated this piece differently.
Well, it's like early in your relationship with the piece, right?
Yeah.
And then you,
I mean, right
you
after
play it
tour
alive, and all of a
then,
sudden
yeah,
it
as
evolves.
you tour with it a bunch
Yeah.
of times.
Or you add things in, or
Sure.
you change parts. Or,
So I think that's really where it comes from. There's kind of a little joke in there in that it switches from anticipating to just being right after.
Okay, so let's try it. Is everybody good with those offbeats? I thought we were getting there. So let's try to get 4 up front.
4 up front. 1, 2, 3, 4.
2,
2,
3, 3. Here we go.
Let's try just that much again. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3. How did that feel for everybody? Was anybody lost?
That was getting closer.
T minor 7.
I didn't hear
See?
anyone hit
It's
it
right
wrong.
here. Right here.
I don't know, maybe I was hesitating and not playing, but I didn't hear anybody hit it wrong.
Just
No,
like
no,
that.
right here.
Maybe try it once without you.
Yeah, let's hear it. 2, 3, 3,
Okay.
4.
Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. Okay, so it's really 3, 4, 1, 2, 3,
And a 3.
And a 3.
and a 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
We want, yeah, the A on the end, 3.
Question.
Can they keep going? Can they play the first?
Yeah, it's a pretty green piece for us, but yes.
Yeah, this is a great time.
That was great.
This gets you started on a nice path.
I mean, yeah, if we can just at least take it to the B, I think we've really, we've really done something. And then I'll talk about some technique and stuff.
Cool.
John, please. Top.
2, 3, 4. Here we go. That's the line we exposed.
Wow, that was not bad for a dream run too. But we did it pretty fast too. I realized we could have, paced that down a little bit. But yeah.
You want to try it at the melody? I'll go a little slower.
So the plan is I'll be playing chords through the melody section, and they have the melody parts 1 and 2 that they're gonna hold down. Is that's the plan?
Yeah. And
That sounds great.
A little strumming from these guys here.
Sounds great.
A bass line from those guys.
Oh, great. Oh, nice. So that's a written guitar bass player. Nice. Great.
And it'll just
Great.
support what Austin.
That's gonna be great. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I say I don't want to push it too much, but let's just do it one more time, and then I'll just talk about technique for the rest of the class, and we can nerd out on golpes and rajeos and stuff like that. John,
Or if we wanted to
not
look
quite
at
for-
Dos Aguas at all, if there's anything in there
that you want to look at. We'll talk about that in a second. A little bit slower than it was
A little
last time.
slower.
A little slower.
from the top.
Top,
1, 2, 3, 4,
2, 3,
3.
4. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey, that's not bad for early March, guys. That's pretty good.
Only one
All
cup
right.
of coffee.
Yeah. So what I'm doing behind you probably heard all the knocking and all stuff. I'll go through it. There's a thing in flamenco, and it's called a rajeo or rasgueado, and it's a right hand technique, and it's different variations of your fingers in your hand. Okay, they start you out. I have a little cheat sheet right here, and I'll give a copy of this. But it starts out where the
You want me to
first
pass some of these out?
I don't have enough of them, unfortunately. But it starts out with just index down, and where you're resting on the string, and your first stroke is just index down, and that is your first. That's like your first rajeo. Is just, can you get a good snap downward, with your index, and then after that, it's going to be bringing that same finger back up again. Because if you haven't noticed, I do this a lot, and you have to be able to control it down or down up, down up, and that's like the beginning of
His thumb
being
is
able.
planted on that string. too.
My thumb is planted, but if my chord was a chord that had the open low string, I would raise up my thumb to here in the same position. I would bring it up a little bit, and I would hit that, because this particular technique is designed to really aim at the lower strings. It's not designed to aim at, it's going to hit all the strings, but the aim is towards the lower end of the guitar for punch. So again, you have down, right? Down, up, and now comes the next one, which is middle, index, up. So it's a down, down, up. Down, down, up. So we started down, right? And then we have down, up. And now we're going middle, index, up. Okay, that's the next one. Okay? Now, couple of notes. The strings have higher tension a little bit back from here, so you're going to have a harder time getting a snappier sound more towards the hole. You're going to be better a little bit back. And that, again, that was all with just 3 fingers. Remember, I've got my up, down, and that's the 3. Okay. Now I'm just gonna keep showing you these because it just keeps going, but you know, I don't expect you to actually. So the next one will
Wait,
be.
you have a question?
All right, were those two, like you first showed us down up quick, that's
Yeah.
separate?
No, no. Well, it's a 1, 2, 3. It's like first one's like this, second one, third one.
Okay, so these are like 3 separate techniques. I was
Right.
sure
Well,
we were
right.
building
They're
like
all.
a measure.
They're
cumulative.
all.
I got
It's
you.
cumulative. Yeah. It's like it's gonna be like algebra. You're just
Sure,
gonna
yeah,
keep
yeah.
stacking on.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Exactly. So the next one, what we're gonna do? You had a question?
Yeah, can you just go over that?
Oh, sure.
Part again?
Down. Okay, so keep your thumb planted and watch the minimum movement. All I'm doing is flicking downward. There you go. That's good, but you're also looking to get kind of a snap sound. Yeah, and it's easier to practice getting the sound without your chord. So if you do the thing where you hold on to the strings over here so you can get a nice tap, you can start working on finding your tones. So the next one is they add in the next finger. Da 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 da.
Okay, so down, up,
Down, 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 up.
down,
Other way.
down.
Okay, so remember it's cumulative. So we start here.
Okay.
So your up is always going to be on your index, okay?
Okay.
So the next one was da da da, right? Right? Down, down, up. And then yes, and then the next one is these 3. And then they finally add in the pinky as well.
And on that one, are you starting with the
Use them
pinky again?
individually and separately, like
Yeah.
add them together or.
But they end with that with either an up or a down on the index. So that's the 5-finger one. So the one that I typically use is a 3-finger one because I like to be able to suspend it. So it's like and it starts with these 3 down and then I spin these 3. But anyway, that's okay. So one finger. Review. 1 finger, right, down, and then back up again, right, down, up. That's just on this finger, and the power really comes from having the independence of being able to move your finger without moving your other one. And then you have your 2 down, these 2 down, down, up. So and then the next one, and then the next one. So those are your basic right hand beginning Raheo patterns.
Question, before you fire the gun, are you cocked and loaded? Are you in the palm?
Yes.
The thumb?
Yes, because I'm snapping.
Are you a thumb guy or
Well,
a palm guy?
oh, I think I mean, you can get all the way back.
At first,
But I think it's not for every hand.
after a while, it's like,
Yeah,
you kind of don't really,
that's it.
kind of like, each time you want
Yeah, it's all about being in the right position, being able to do that.
So you kind of like don't, after a while, you kind of have like go subconsciously think of it like
Well, okay, so this is where it gets really tricky, is that these guys do this technique in the middle of doing all their other techniques. So in the middle of doing a piccato or doing an arpeggio or something like this, they are able to execute the Raheo without having to change their hand position very much because and it's hard to learn. You can't learn it like that. I mean, you have to. You're never going to develop finger independence without going through these exercises and like getting your independence. But what's really hard is after that you remember to change and try your other techniques too. That you don't just get locked into just doing rajeo because it'll take you out of position to your other techniques. So that's kind of just a heads up, just a little caveat. So right with the rajeo comes the golpe. And the golpe is the tap. And there's two types of taps. There's the one finger tap with your ring finger right there on the face of the guitar, and there's the two finger tap where you use both of them together for a thicker sound. Okay? So you have your one golpe, your two golpes. And those do get used like independently, like if you're doing like a thing, but most of the time when you're using a golpe, it's in a combination with your thumb or it's in a combination with your index finger. So there's the one with the thumb where you're getting a bass note and a golpe at the same time. That's the one. And then the other one is where you have your index with the golpe, where I'm knocking on the face. So that's when you get like...
Which I think is the most unnatural thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it feels very weird.
As an outsider, I think that's remarkable.
Are you trying to get nail too when you're tapping? I mean,
so that's where it gets a little rough, is the golpe sound. I'm trying for a very dark golpe sound, which is a little more flesh.
Sure.
But with my small hands, it takes me out of position. But they typically don't like the nail sound. But sometimes, depending on your guitar, there's just no other way to do it without getting like a little more nail. That's actually why I play this guitar, is because it allows me to get a more bassy sound without getting the nail sound. But that's not true on all my guitars. On some of the guitars, the face is just very live, and it gets that nail, and so I have to like do less of that. And then the other golpe is the Paco de Lucia. I mean, a bunch of people do it, but it was in the Paco book, which justified it for me to say that, okay, here's another type of golpe, is with the index down. It's like, I'll play it for you first, and I'll show you how to do it. It's that kind of thing. And what it is essentially is I'm hitting the face of the guitar right there, getting a snap, and then I'm going down with it. And that's the other type of golpe.
It's the most muddy thing you've ever.
It's the biggest one. Like you have your one finger, your two finger. It's kind of the bigger one.
It's like bacon for breakfast or something. It just tastes so good, so meaty.
Hey Frank, could you show that one more time? I couldn't really see. Oh, okay. Wow.
I think every guitarist needs to know how to do
Well,
that.
I don't know about that. I tend to rip my callus off my finger getting bloody by doing it a lot. But that's just me.
Hey, no.
And then the last thing, just because it's on here, just to say it, is that they also consider they call it todo la mano, which means the whole hand. They consider this also part of the rajeo. That you don't use a finger, but you actually just use your whole hand going down. And you'd be like, well, why do they have all these little ones? Because they're very tuned into the different rajeos and the different sounds, and they make distinctions between which one is being used and when, and it's important for them in the idiom to hear those little details correctly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So just because I'm this dumb old white guy who can't pronounce anything right, so rajeo, that's different than ras.
Same. They have
okay.
different gypsies. They have,
Okay.
they have different words for the same thing.
Okay, but we're talking about the same.
It's the same
family of techniques.
And that's what I found out. I mean, like, I'm a student of this as well, and what I found out by trying to put this all together is that the abanico is considered a rajeo, or rascalo. It's just a specialized form of it, and it's called a fan because it looks like a person waving a fan. But what it is instead of going like this, you go like this. Or there's a three finger, there's an extra version where you go, where you get an extra thing in there. But that's a specialized form of the rascalo. And the golpe is also considered part of the rajeo, because you typically do a lot of golpe while you're doing that. And these are the techniques that really make it sound flamenco. Mm-hmm. There's other things like glisses and little, fast runs and things that are also in the flamenco book. But to me, it's the rasgueado, it's the rajeo that really makes something sound flamenco, as opposed to like, something like that.
Yeah, that's fakey flamenco.
Yeah, which is fine. Throw a salute out there, whatever, whatever.
So on the golpe with the thumb, are you doing them at the same time, or is it thumb?
Yeah, that's the point.
Very unnatural. It's like a serious.
Yeah, so if you're
kind of doing this motion.
Acquired technique, very complex movement.
So what's
It's
the?
kind of like a grab.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're making a C with your hand, kind of.
So is there like the doorway in is just really slow, just kind of?
The doorway in is single finger, and then you start to, but you start with one finger up and down, and try not to like move your hand all around.
And just to be clear, the golpes that he plays are not just any random plays necessarily. They're pretty much, he's playing drums and the guitar at the same time. Like
Right.
play what I'm playing what he's doing, but if you tap, 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 and tap, he's just he's keeping the rhythm. He doesn't need me. I'm just an extension of what he's already doing.
Well, that's the thing. See, like originally the guitar was a timekeeper and a melodic thing to help the singers find their keys. Is you move the capo around and you play in different places on the guitar, because they'll just put the capo on and play the same chords. That way they know where their tones are, at least traditionally. But now with the cajon and different things, it's like the guitar is freer to not to let up on the role as a timekeeper.
Yeah.
And so then I can suspend, not do my rajeos, and just do like whatever sweeps and different. It's just different now. What they do. The role
What's
of the
important to
timekeeper
understand
changed.
is that in flamenco, at first was the singing and
Yeah.
the rhythm, and then the dancing would have responded to someone singing, and the singing would have come from the time. And then much later in the story comes the guitar, and the guitar is not a major player in the hierarchy, of flamenco. The guitar is the low man on the totem pole. You're the support who's just sitting there. Then, at a certain point in time, you had these really great guitarists who brought the guitar to the center stage. And then you had the very first guitar concert. It never had happened before. And so this was, when you put it in that context, that you see where this comes from in the flamenco idiom. It's a support instrument, it's the percussion, and it just happens to provide the tonos.
Yeah, it makes sense, like Louis Armstrong with the trumpet or something like that.
Go. Yeah, what you got?
And the solos.
Fandango?
What about it?
Is that the one that we haven't gone over yet?
I didn't do a fandango. I don't play a lot of fandango because fandango is a little more Spanish.
That's one that Corey Whitehead loves to teach.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of that because that's a little more Spanish.
It's harder too. It's like
I could, and they sing over that. There's a form that they sing over, and they sing about all kinds of. It's kind of cheeky, funny stuff.
If that's more Spanish, what do you consider what you guys do?
That's what I was just thinking.
World fusion weirdness.
Yeah, but our interest in flamenco comes from the gypsy side of things, not so much the
it's
Spanish
like
classical.
it's a subtle distinction. It's like talking about different types of hip hop or dance music
Or jazz, Is it bebop and deeper stuff, or is it like a
Is it something
lighter,
you
more
dance to?
popular
Yeah,
jazz?
like what
Dance
is?
music.
Yeah,
So
what is it?
Gypsy like is it Romani?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Is that-
caseros, the ones that never left from the 1500s.
Yeah.
They stayed.
The
And
short version of the story is that in India, in the year 1000, you have a group of people who leave, nomadic people. either through a war or, you know, a migration. There are a lot of stories, but these people become what we know as the gypsies. They're nomadic, they don't have a house, and
The gypsies, Spanish gypsies.
yeah, well, and they come from the north of India across the deserts, and they pick up influences along the way. They're blacksmiths and you know, instrumentalists, virtuosic musicians from India, which is a huge musical tradition. But when you look at flamenco music, it still has some of those linguistic roots. Kalo, the language of Kalo, the gypsy language, goes back to India, and the same sort of virtuosic musical practices. The fact that they can slow down and speed up in a piece, the fact that they have melismatic singing, they can sing, it's very similar to what they do in India. The rhythms, the kartal are just like castanets. You know, so there's a whole bunch of things that are brought into that. And so our interest in the music, when you go to the deepest portions of it, they're the more gypsy side of it. And what you learn is that the Spanish flamenco stuff was really appropriated from the gypsies side of it. So that's the more interesting side to us is the gypsy.
It's like saying it's you know, Spanish versus gypsy is like classical versus flamenco. It's really hard for as an outsider to like really pinpoint that, but you can still see that it exists. You know, it's hard to take apart, but it's definitely something that does exist. But the gypsies for a while were the ones that really carried on the tradition and kept the music alive. Just as a final example, the last technique I will show you that is a flamenco/classical technique is the tremolo, right? I'm sure you've all probably, if you're doing classical pieces, you've encountered tremolo maybe at one point, and that's your typical, I can barely play it, it's a, right? Well, they don't play it that way. A flamenco tremolo is with 4 notes. And so they play those same pieces, but they change the tremolo from 3 to 4. That just shows you like where a good example of where their heads are at.
Is that I-A-M-I again?
Yeah, that's it. So they'll play like Recuerdos del Alhambra, but they'll play with the other tremolo because that's just how they are.
You start out with this one.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
I have a question about the Rasguiado.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, so we showed us how to do it, but when do you do it? Like, is it a gravestone to a downbeat, or is it sometimes rhythmic, like 1 E and a 2 E and or is it ba-da-dum?
Yes.
Starts
The
on
answer to that is yes. Because it's evolved, so they'll tend to shift. When it first started, it's more like what Juan would show us, you know, 1 E and a 2, 3 and a 4, that kind of thing, you know. And but like the way that the way that like a gypsy would play it would be like. So they'll wait and then do a flurry and then end it on it, and like their finish, like ta-da, is like to end with that up. So, and that's like a ta-da, and then they're off again. Yeah. Yeah, and so like whether, and you use it different times, like to start a piece, I'll use it to establish rhythm, like to establish a tango rhythm, so we weren't 4 and I'm gonna have to worry about the 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, that kind of thing.
Very cool.
What was that, Alzapua, no, the Abanico, what was the Abanico?
The Abanico was a close, so it was 1. Okay, so the Abanico, this thing. If you take your hand like you're shaking out a sugar packet, And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go up with the thumb, down with the fingers, and then down with the thumb. Up with the thumb, down with the fingers, down with the thumb. Up, down, down, up, down, down.
That seems like a really useful technique to me.
It sounds so cool.
Yeah.
The crazy one is
To be able to sustain a
but
roll
again,
on the
what do they
guitar
do?
is awesome.
They go to the one where they put this finger in there too. It's up, up, down, down. It's up, down, down, up. Let's see. It's hard for me to do slow.
Four finger.
That's it.
It's like there's so many sounds coming. It's like
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. Up, down, down, down. Up,
Yeah.
down, down, down. Up, down, down,
Cool.
down. That's it. That's the other one. And then, you know, and I like to like dig in at the end and get a good up golpe with my thumb. So yeah,
You hit the soundboard and then the string?
yep. Basically, like, just like this, but with my thumb on the bottom. What I will send you. Just there's a guy, his name is Perret, okay, and he is the guy, he's the king of the rumba, okay, and the rumba is like a gypsy palo. Palos are different types of flamenco rhythms, and the way I play,
But
we're
when
gonna
you
play,
look at the Gypsy Kings,
and we're
that's
gonna play a
all they do
rumba,
is
yeah, we're
rumba.
gonna, but they do rumba like this guy, like Perret, and
Yeah.
we're gonna play, you know, we're gonna do Entre los Aguas, and this strum is really great, and I play this strum all the time, but the Perret strum, and I'll send you a video, is more like that. And so like, but he does it with it's so much power and so ease, and I almost hesitate to show you, but I'll send you a video of it, and it's just the most amazing thing. And yeah, I still to this day have not been able to quite get that down, that particular rumba strum.
You want to play a little rumba for them, just perform a little bit of what we're going to do?
Well, you got time for it. Right. Yeah.
Rumba, yeah.
That's rumba, yeah.
And it's an ida y vuelta rhythm. It was from Spain, flamenco music, and that influence went to Cuba, was mixed with the African stuff, became Cuban rumba that we know, and then went back to Spain and re-influenced flamenco, and then that rumba became, then flamenco got a rumba after it came back from Cuba.
I've noticed that I'm doing a lot of flamenco singers.
Yeah, that's the
Singing kids, devil
Uh,
dance.
Oh, yeah. Seagull.
barely do. But that's how they start. They're like, there's plenty of videos online to kind of show you how they do that. But I've just never quite mastered the knocking of my thumb onto the face, and then getting a knock and then a full chord without a squelch. Like when I do this, I want it to be a squelch, but they are like. That whole thing has always been really hard for me to get that double knock down. So I don't play it like that. I just play. We'll be doing for like Entre los Aguas. So
Cool.
just to let you know, it's out there. Like they take it to that next. You know, it's like level. That's what they do.
Any other last questions before we call it?
Man, thank you.
Job on the piece, you guys. It was really, really. Let's keep working on it. We're gonna have a great performance.